I am 81 years old. If you walked into my house right now, you would probably be impressed. Everything is in its place. The floors are polished hardwood, and there isn't a single scuff mark on them. The books on the shelves are organized by height and subject. The kitchen counters are marble, cool to the touch and completely bare, except for a fruit bowl where the apples are arranged just so. There is no dust, there is no clutter, there is no noise. It is a beautiful house. It is the kind of house I spent my entire life working toward. It is a monument to order, to discipline, and to success, and I hate it. I sit here in this armchair, leather, perfectly conditioned, and I realize that this house is not a home. It is a museum of a man who was terrified of being human. I have spent 50 years trying to be perfect. I thought that if I did everything right, if I made no mistakes, if I presented a flawless surface to the world, then I would be safe. I thought perfection was the price of admission for love and respect. I was wrong. Perfection is not a magnet, it is a wall. And I built that wall so high and so thick that by the time I decided to look over it, everyone I ever loved had already walked away. I want to tell you how this happens, because it doesn't happen all at once. You don't wake up one morning and decide to be rigid and cold. It happens slowly. It happens in the name of doing things the right way. When I was in my 30s, I told myself I was doing it for my family. I had a wife, Martha, and 2 young sons. I worked 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. I told myself that providing for them was the ultimate act of love, but it wasn't just about the money, it was about the standard. I needed to be the best in the office. I needed the lawn to be the greenest on the block. I needed my car to be washed every Sunday, regardless of the weather. I needed my children to be well behaved, not just good but exemplary. I remember a Tuesday evening in 1984. I came home tired. I walked into the living room and saw that my boys, who were 7 and 9 at the time, had built a fort out of the sofa cushions. They had draped blankets over the chairs. They were laughing. They were screaming with that pure, unbridled joy that children have. Martha was in the kitchen, smiling, listening to them. And I didn't see the joy. I didn't see the creativity. I saw the mess. I saw the cushions on the floor collecting dust. I saw the blankets that would need to be folded. I saw disorder. And something inside me, some tight knot in my chest that I mistook for responsibility, just snapped, relaxed. I didn't hit them. I wasn't a violent man. In some ways, I think that would have been easier for them to understand. Instead, I used my voice, that cold, disappointed voice. I told them to clean it up immediately. I told them that furniture was expensive, that we treat our things with respect, that this wasn't a playground. I watched the light go out of their eyes. It happened in an instant. The laughter stopped. They scrambled to put the cushions back, their small hands shaking a little. Martha came in and tried to calm me down, tried to say, "They're just playing, Arthur." And I turned on her too. I asked her why she let them run wild. I asked her if she cared about how hard I worked to pay for this furniture. I won the argument. The room was clean within 10 minutes. The house was quiet. I sat down and read my newspaper, feeling a grim sense of satisfaction that order had been restored. I didn't know then that I had just laid a brick in the wall. I did that 1,000 times over the years. I corrected their grammar at the dinner table until they stopped talking. I criticized Martha's outfit before we went to parties, until she stopped asking me how she looked. I rewrote my subordinates' reports at work until they stopped offering their own ideas. I thought I was helping. I truly believed that. I thought I was raising the standard. I thought that by demanding perfection, I was teaching them excellence. But I wasn't teaching them excellence. I was teaching them that they were not enough. I was teaching them that my approval was conditional, and the conditions were impossible to meet. The cost didn't show up on a balance sheet. That's the tricky thing about it. If you looked at my life on paper, it was a triumph. I was promoted, I made money, we went on expensive vacations where everything was planned down to the minute. We took photos where everyone was smiling and looking at the camera. But if you look closely at those photos now, you can see it. You can see the tension in Martha's shoulders. You can see the way the boys are standing a little too stiffly, terrified of scuffing their shoes. The erosion was quiet. It was the silence in the car on the way home from those vacations. It was the way the boys stopped bringing their friends over, because they didn't want to be lectured about using a coaster. It was the way Martha started spending more time in the garden just to be away from my critical eye. She tried to tell me. She was a gentle woman, but she had a spine. I remember her sitting me down when I was 50. She said, "Arthur, you are hard to be around. You suck the air out of the room." I was offended. I was deeply hurt. I told her, "I am the one holding everything together. I am the one making sure the bills are paid and the house doesn't fall apart. If I didn't worry about these things, who would?" She looked at me with such sadness. She said, "We would. And if we failed, if things got messy, at least we would be living together. Right now, you are living alone in this house, and we are just ghosts passing through." I dismissed her. I told myself she was being emotional. I told myself that one day they would all thank me. They would look back and appreciate the structure I had given them. They didn't thank me. They left. My oldest son moved to the other side of the country as soon as he graduated. He sends cards on Christmas. They are polite, generic cards. "Thinking of you, Dad." There is no warmth in the ink. He calls once a month. The conversations last exactly 10 minutes. He tells me the facts of his life, his job, the weather, his car repairs. He never tells me how he feels. He never tells me if he's scared or happy or heartbroken. He knows I don't do feelings, I do facts. I do solutions, I do perfection. My youngest son stayed closer, but he is even more distant. He married a woman who is loud and messy and wonderful, and they have a house that is chaotic and full of dog hair and noise. I went there once for dinner. I sat on the edge of my chair, trying not to look at the pile of mail on the counter. I made a comment, just one small comment, about how they should really fix the leaky faucet in the kitchen because it wastes water. My son looked at me. He didn't get angry. He just looked tired. He said, "Dad, we're having a nice time." "Please don't." We didn't have a nice time. I left early. I haven't been invited back in 6 months. But the biggest cost was Martha. She got sick 3 years ago. It was fast. Pancreatic cancer. For the first time in my life, there was a problem I couldn't fix. I couldn't organize it away. I couldn't discipline the cancer cells. I couldn't perfect the situation. I tried to manage her illness the way I managed everything else. I had spreadsheets for her medication. I had a schedule for her appointments. I researched the best doctors, the best treatments. I was efficient. I was on top of it. One afternoon, about a week before she died, she was lying in the hospital bed set up in our living room. She was so small, the pain had taken everything from her. I was fussing with the pillows, trying to get them perfectly straight. I was adjusting the blinds so the light wouldn't be in her eyes. I was checking the chart I had made. She reached out and took my hand. Her grip was weak, but her skin was warm. "Arthur," she whispered. "Stop. I'm just trying to make you comfortable," I said, feeling that panic rising in my chest again. The panic that says if I stop doing, everything will fall apart. "No," she said. "You're trying to control it. You can't control this. Just sit. Please. Just sit with me." I sat. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. I sat there and held her hand and listened to the clock tick. I saw the dust motes dancing in the shaft of sunlight I had been trying to block out. And for the first time in 50 years, I really looked at her. I didn't look at her as a wife who needed to be managed, or a partner in the business of running a household. I looked at her as a human being who was leaving me. I realized then that I didn't know her. I knew her schedule. I knew her favorite color. I knew her size. But I didn't know her fears. I didn't know what she thought about when she couldn't sleep. I didn't know her because I had spent 50 years talking at her, correcting her, and molding her, instead of listening to her. She died 2 days later. The funeral was perfect. I arranged the flowers myself. I chose the music. The eulogy I gave was grammatically flawless and hit all the right notes. Everyone told me how strong I was. Everyone told me how dignified the service was. And then everyone went home. And I came back here, to this house. That was 3 years ago. I have kept the house exactly as it was. I still polish the floors. I still arrange the apples in the bowl. I still wake up at 600 a.m. and make my bed so tightly you could bounce a quarter off it. But there is nobody here to impress. I walk through these rooms and they echo. I realized something terrifying last week. I was looking for a photograph of us, me, Martha, the boys, where we looked real, where we were messy, where maybe my shirt was untucked or someone had food on their face. I couldn't find one. Every single picture in the albums is staged. We are all standing straight. We are all smiling that tight, practiced smile. We look like a catalogue family. We look like strangers. I have deleted the evidence of our humanity. I polished away the fingerprints of our lives. I look at the young people today. I see you on the street or in the grocery store. I see a young mother with her hair in a messy bun, wearing sweatpants, wrestling a toddler who is screaming over a candy bar. I see her looking embarrassed, looking like she feels judged. I want to walk up to her and grab her by the shoulders. I want to say, don't worry about the mess. The mess is the life. I see young men obsessed with their careers, obsessed with the grind, obsessed with maximizing their potential. They talk about optimization and life hacks. They want to be machines. I want to tell them that machines don't have souls. Machines don't have memories that keep you warm at night when you are 81. Being perfect is a lonely business. It requires you to separate yourself from everyone else, because everyone else is flawed. Everyone else makes mistakes. Everyone else is inefficient. So you stand on your pedestal, looking down at them, feeling superior. But it gets cold on that pedestal, and the view never changes. I wish I had let the grass grow a little longer. I wish I had left the dishes in the sink and played on the floor with my sons. I wish I had let Martha buy the ugly curtains she liked because they made her happy. I wish I had been wrong. I spent so much energy trying to be right, trying to avoid criticism, trying to ensure that no one could ever point a finger at me and say, he failed. But I did fail. I failed at the only thing that actually matters. I failed to connect. I am safe now. No one criticizes me. No one argues with me. My house is clean. My bank account is full. My reputation is spotless. And I would give every single bit of it away for just one more Tuesday evening with a fort made of sofa cushions and a wife laughing at the mess. If you are listening to this and you feel that need to control, please let it go. Because the alternative isn't success. The alternative is silence. If this resonates with you, share this video, leave a comment, tell me what you are going to do differently today. And subscribe. I have more truth to share, and I don't have much time left.